Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello, friends. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. I am Sifu Sylvain Chamberlain. I'm the abbot of the Threefold Lotus Kwun, a quantum life Buddhist school in the lineage of Nichiren, Bodhisattva Nichiren's doctrines and insights into Shakyamuni's great teaching, culminating teaching of the Lotus Sutra. I am in the process. I have published this book. It started out as volume 1, then volume 2, and then I just put them together. It's a good-sized book. This endeavor, though, is different than any other book that I've ever found on the terminologies and words of Buddhism, most notably, I think, for the integration of Nichiren's doctrine into Lotus Sutra Buddhism, being the culminating teaching of the 50 years of Shakyamuni's teaching life. Certain terms and words start out couched in a capacity, a meaning derived from the capacity of the individuals at the time. And over 50 years, the development of those terms and concepts expands and digs deeper and becomes much more profound, or actually moves away from original interpretations or develops them much further. And so the student of Buddhism will often run into terms that they'll quickly Google or find some book to tell them the meaning of, only to find that once they develop their knowledge of the scholarship of Buddhism, they've been totally misled, not intentionally, but by virtue of seizing upon an early meaning of a word or a term or a concept without the depth of knowledge that comes with time. It's like, I don't know if you remember, a lot of people complain that they don't like mathematics, but you remember when you were dividing fractions at a very young age in elementary school, and you did this cancels, right? Your mom may still do that, when you divide numbers, you cancel the 1 and you cancel this and cancel. When you learn a little bit more about mathematics and you get into geometry and then algebra, what you discover is there's no cancellation going on at all. It's just that numbers on top of each other, when they're the same, represent 1, and anything multiplied or divided by 1 is that itself. So it's kind of an unnecessary term to be there. Oh, that's far different than cancel, which implies kind of destruction, right? So it's that kind of thing. Just like my most used example is the Nidana, right? A very early teaching of the 12-length causal chain. Really develops ultimately into the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment, which involves time and speed and the mind and the vast array of, you can't even call them decisions, they're reactions in the mind that support or destroy mimetics, epistemology, all these terms that are just word salad until you dive into them and you begin to understand, the dissection of how the mind works is incredible. But you have no transparency of that in the Nidana. The Nidana is still a little bit magical. It's so conceptual. But by the time Tendai or Ji dissects the 3,000 realms, even the 10 worlds, in interdependent, interpenetrating of themselves, is a level of abstraction that, it shakes you up a little bit. By the time you get to 3,000, and then the length of a moment, oh my goodness, it becomes astounding how profound this teaching is, yeah? So, This book, unlike, I just got one publication from, is it Princeton, on Buddhist terms. And they've thrown everything in there, and they still don't have the nuances of the most modern, the Mappo, the latter age of the law, the Nichiren vernacular, the Threefold Lotus Kuan vernacular of the correct transmission of Shakyamuni's teachings. So this book, that's what this book is all about, right? But as well as common terms like anatman and annihilation and anuttara samyak sambodhai and attachment, attitude and intent, avatam sakasutra, benefits, bhagavat, bodhisattva, brahma. What do all these terms mean? There's also, like the one we're going to talk about today, Devadatta. So who the heck is Devadatta? Well, Devadatta is understood as a certain figure in the history of Buddhist stories and teachings. But even Devadatta's meaning, because all of these are personages, they're not actual people. What is the meaning of Devadatta to a Lotus Sutra, latter age student of Buddhism? Well, that's what this book will help us understand. Now, by no means is this exhaustive, because it would be a huge library, but it is enough of a guideline that if it doesn't resolve your doubt immediately, will at least send you in a direction of understanding for your own research. Yeah. So today, Devadatta. For instance, there are entries from other sources in here just to demonstrate how close or far those definitions are from our modern understanding through Nichiren of these terms. So on Wikipedia, Devadatta was by tradition a Buddhist monk, a cousin and brother-in-law of Gautama Siddhartha. He's Shakyamuni, right? The accounts of his life vary greatly. Well, of course, he's a story. But he is generally seen as an evil and divisive figure in Buddhism who led a breakaway group in the earliest days of the religion. Now, there's all kinds of problems with that. First of all, as you know, Buddhism isn't a religion. It is for many, but that's because they're not practicing it correctly. And the definition being that Devadatta is this great evil guy. Well, he did some really terrible things. But Shakyamuni ends up crediting Devadatta as his teacher. Well, that's not explored anywhere in the Wikipedia definition or anywhere else. Why not? That's what the Lotus Sutra says. A lot of people discount the Lotus Sutra simply because they're enamored, attached to, clinging to early teachings. Well, if all we needed to know was early teachings, then we wouldn't need universities. We wouldn't need erudite people, men and women, who have become self-enlightened just by the virtue of their chasing after knowledge, right? What a pity that would be. So, in the Lotus Sutra, according to Jacqueline Stone and Stephen F. Tizer, Devadatta was, quote, well known to the sutra's early devotees as the Buddhist archetype of an evildoer, end quote. There it is again. From one of my many favorite scholars, Jacqueline Stone. In the context of the, quote, promise of Buddhahood for everyone, this chapter became widely understood as illustrating the potential for enlightenment even in evil persons. End quote. In the Lotus Sutra, chapter 12, found in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, the Buddha teaches that in a past life, Devadatta was his holy teacher who set him on the path, and makes a noteworthy statement about how even Devadatta will in time become a Buddha. That's a very, very important aspect of Devadatta, right? And here's the quote. The Buddha said to his monks, quote, "The king at the time was I myself, and this seer was the man who is now Devadatta. All because Devadatta was a good friend to me, I was able to become fully endowed with the 6 paramitas, pity, compassion, joy, and indifference, with the 32 features and the 80 characteristics, the purple-tinged golden color, the 10 powers, the 4 kinds of fearlessness, the 4 methods of winning people, the 18 unshared properties, and the transcendental powers, and the power of the way. The fact that I have attained impartial and correct enlightenment and can save living beings on a broad scale is all due to Devadatta, who was a good friend." In the Mahamegha Sutra, Devadatta is called a Mahapurusa, a great being. So that's the entry on Devadatta. I will add to this for this video. There's a couple of terms like indifference that you might want. Why is that a quality of Buddha? The indifference, really, we could use a different word. Again, these are translations I'm quoting. So indifference is really being nonplussed, another great word. To be detached from cravings and clinging, so that and this is important, some think that being enlightened is somehow the destruction or annihilation of the Saha world. But it is not. The Saha world is the one thing, the physical universe. Samsara is not the physical universe. Samsara is our mind's attachment mechanisms of identification through craving and clinging and possession. Samsara is the mind interpreting, lensing, manipulating the physical universe. This is why so much time is spent on emptiness. It's not that the cosmos is empty. It's that the cosmos is a constantly moving target, thing. It's a process that's constantly happening, moment to moment to moment to moment, birth. Everything in Buddhism is pointing to the fact that although these things around us, including us, you and me, seem to be somewhat permanent. We know everything's changing, but there it is. It's a thing. Buddhism says the thing, that's a samsaric illusion. That's our mind saying, I have a this and I have a that. And because I have these things, I too am possessed of me, am being. But the truth of being is that it's got constantly a constant movement, a gathering of quanta that are expressing itself, themselves, moment to moment to moment to moment. And in every moment, the previous moment is gone. It's no longer present. But our mind, our samsaric mind, wants to hang on to it, clinging. And as it clings, it also projects itself into the next moment as having, craving. And Buddhism says, yeah, if you could just let that Saha world do its thing without that craving and clinging, you could be with the cosmos as it's happening. There is where being happens. Samsara is turning being into getting and having, but neither of those are real. Do you see? So Devadatta is a great lesson. It's a great lesson in the shift from the mind of possession to the mind of experience. When you're in the mind of experience, possessing has no meaning. Because you are it, along with the cosmos. No need to cling or crave. What are you clinging or craving? This being. So Devadatta, a very profound lesson, missed by many, but now understood by you, by myself. Any questions, leave them in the comments or email me directly. We can dive into this deeper. But again, the Buddhism Reference is a reminder of where the actual lesson lies. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. Take care of your health. It helps you keep your practice strong. And I'll see you in the next one. With great love and respect. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Bye for now.